Hello friends, welcome back. So in this session we will learn about exception and exception handling in Java. What is exception? Exception is an event that occurs during the program execution and interrupt the normal execution flow of program, and your program will be terminated abnormally. Suppose you are running your program and your program contains 8 lines, and from the 8 line at third lines, while executing the third line, your JVM got some exception, some error or some exception, and because of that exception your JVM cannot be continue with the execution flow of your program. In that case, what your JVM has to do, your JVM has to be terminated because error or exception came. So in that case we have to handle that error. Now what is handle that exception, or error also, error and exception, we will see the difference, exception and error, but that exception has to be handled so that our program will not terminated abnormally. So what is the definition? If we say exception is an event that occur during the program execution and interrupt the normal execution flow of program, and because of that exception your program will be terminated abnormally. And remaining statements, at which line and the exception arised, the exception came after from that lines, all the codes will be remaining unexecutable and only the above statements will be executed. At whatever line you got the exception, from that line your program will be terminated abnormally and the remaining statement will be unexecuted. Okay, so this is exception, and here are some examples we have given of exception. Suppose invoking instance member with the null reference variable. Yeah, sometimes that is also possibility. No, we are calling some method of a variable or method of an reference object. Using that reference object we are calling some method or we are accessing some member, but what if that reference variable is null? Means that reference variable is not pointing to any object. In that case the reference variable is null, and on top of null reference variable, if you apply any member call, in that case you will get null pointer exception. So that will be an exception of type null pointer exception. Another example is we are taking accessing array index that exceeds the max length of array. Suppose your array size is 10, but you are trying to access the element of index 11th position. In that case you will get array index out of bound exception, array index out of bound exception. Yeah, you cannot get, no, if element is 10, then how can you get the 11th element? You cannot get. Creating array with negative size, no, it is also not possible, because how array can have a 0 element, array can have a 1 element, 2 element, but it is not possible array can have a -1 element. How it is possible? Either array element can have or either cannot have. Suppose you take an example of book. In your book, how many pages can be there? Either 1 page, either no page, 2 page, 100 page. But it is possible your book has a -1 page. How it is possible? So in the same way, array size you cannot create with the -1. Next one is this is also array index array index size minus something like that, you will get an exception. Another one is a dividing number with 0. That also you cannot do. If you divide any number with a 0, you will get infinity. What is infinity? Infinity you cannot count. Then if you cannot count, then where you will store that value? In that case you will get a divide by 0 exception, means arithmetical exception. Recursive method invocation, that is also another type of exception. Suppose one method you are calling inside a method again and again without any conditions, unconditionally you are calling a method itself inside a method. So sometimes you will get the stack overflow error, because the execution of method will be happening in the stack area only. We have seen the diagram. Yeah, this is the diagram, that one, memory stack of thread. So whatever the method is there, that will be executed in stack only, in this stack. And this is some memory, either 1 MB, 2 MB, 3 MB, 4 MB, 100 MB. Once that size is exceeding, means you are calling invocation, recursive invocation you are doing, method calling inside, sometime it will be go out of that stack, memory will be full. In that case you will get stack overflow error. That will be error. You cannot resolve that one through program. Also you cannot resolve that one. Okay, so let's see some examples in programming also. Suppose we have created one file here, main class. Inside this main class, what I did, I have declared one main method. And inside this main method, first statement is program started and the last statement is program ended. In middle I'm not doing anything. If you can see, I am not doing anything. So if I run this one, then what output you will see? Program started and program ended. This is a normal program flow and normal execution without any abnormal termination. Your program executed successfully. But what if some error came? In that case, program ended, this statement will not execute, because this I am considering this program ended, this one, line number 30, that is a last statement. If this statement is not executing, means you got some exception in your program. So let's put in that positions. Let's suppose I have created one array. I am taking the first example. Invoking, so that is okay, no issue, but we can take in any order. So first I am taking array index out of bound exception. So I have created one array, an array of a character that holding 4 elements A, B, C, D, from 0, 1, 2, 3 position. But what if I will access 4th position? I cannot access, no, because array index is starting from 0. In 0 position A is there, B is there in the first position, in the second position C is there, and the third position D is there. In 4th position is not there at all. So what if I will run this one? You will see, yes. Now this is the abnormal termination of your program, because last statement is program ended. This is the last statement, line number 31, but that is not executed. Before to that only your program is terminated, because you got an exception at line number 16. And what exception you got? Array index out of bound exception. And what message is also there? Index 4 out of bounds of length 4. Length is 4, then you cannot access the 4th index. If length is 4, then till 3rd index, from 0 to 3rd index you can access any index from 0 to 3rd, but you cannot access 4th index because length is 4 only. So this is abnormal termination. Suppose if I access 3rd one, then yeah, that will be fine. Now program will be executed successfully. Yes, 3rd position element is D, that is the last one. So this is the one example, array index out of bound exception. Yeah, we got exception at this line, so this is an exception. Another one, array I am creating a size of minus. How is it possible? Because array you cannot create size with the negative array. You cannot create with the negative size. Either you can give 0, no issue. You can give 0, or you can give 1, 2, 3, anything, but you cannot give negative array size exception. That is also another exception they have declared. Negative array size exception. -1 is a negative size or you can, if I give any, like I will give here 6, that is also negative, that is also negative. So there you will see -6. So this is the another exception. If you give any positive number like 0, you can give, no issue, no issue. You can give 0, because array size can have 0 also, no, without an element. So now the program termination is not happening abnormally, program is terminating in normal way. Okay, so this is array in negative size. And next one, I am taking the example of arithmetical exception. What is arithmetical exception? I am dividing 5 by 0. It is not possible. It will give arithmetical exception only. Arithmetical exception, yeah. Arithmetical exception. Divide by 0. Divide by 0. This is the message. This is the message. This is the this is the exception type. Okay. So this is arithmetical exception, and another one is null pointer exception. Suppose this is a person, no, this is a person class. On top of this person class, what I am trying, okay, not that one, I think we have imported wrongly. Okay, I think this one, wait, just remove this import statement once, because person class is existing in, okay. So now this one, now at which line we will get the null pointer exception? At line number 21, because in the line number 27 we are declaring a variable of a person type. We are declaring a variable of a person type with the null value, because no object is there in that person reference variable. So you will get, definitely you will get null pointer exception only. Yes, null pointer exception. What exception message you get? Cannot invoke what? Get person name on person class of com.techhub.java scdemo lang package dot person. You cannot invoke by, because person is null. You are getting the exact exception message. Okay, so this is a null pointer exception. Another one is a recursive test. What is this recursive test? See, this what happens now, here in the recursive test method, I am calling this method again. I am calling this method recursively, and I am printing x. So what if I will run this one? You will see the output. Yes, see, now you got the output. But sometime what will happen? No, you will not see output here, because why? What exactly the what exactly the exception or error type? This is an error. Stack overflow error. You are not able to see that here. You are not able to see here, because why we not able to see? Because this console is there for that Spring Toolshoot has a limited area to show. After that one, it after some lines of code, whatever is printing in console, this STS is discarding that one because of some memory reusability. So what we will do here, if we have to see, because because this default print ln or default this system.out or system.error variable is pointing to your console, error or out, that is pointing to your console, default console. But what if I will change to some file? Yes, we can change to some file. No, what we are doing, I am changing the error, change error, both I will change, error or out. How we have already seen in this system class. This is I have created system util. Actually system util I have created. Inside this util, what I am doing, set out I am calling here. See, system dot set out print stream. Which print stream? This console.txt file. Where is this text? This file is present inside this temp folder. Inside this temp folder, this error console file is there, and another file, this is for error, and another one is for default console. Whatever dot out, system dot out we will apply, that will come into dot console file, console.txt file, that it automatically created. If it is not there, it will create. Suppose suppose this is console.txt, and for error I am setting err console.txt file, so it will be created. So now what will happen, this will be pointed to, now this output, whatever is error will be that will be pointed, that will be placed into that files, not into console now. So let's run and see. Okay, yeah, now this is terminated. So maybe, yeah, see, you can see here now console.txt file came. If you open this console.txt file, you will see it's printing only 10 10 10 10. It is printing only 10. How many times? N number of times, because we have given two different files for error and console. This is for console. Inside console only 10 10 10, only this statement is printing. This statement, whenever you got exception, and the default exception will be thrown to JVM only, and JVM will apply system.error.println on that exception. So your JVM will apply, so that will be placed into error console. If you open error console, you can see stack overflow error. At which line number? Line number 39. You got. So this is stack overflow error, because of recursive call. And memory out of exception also we can give in this way. What is exactly memory out of error? Memory out of error will happen when this heap memory, when the heap memory will be get full, then the heap memory will become full. So in that case, this will be your JVM will throw out of memory error. Let's see and run. Yes, now we have to reload. See, out of memory error, Java heap space is out of space. That's it, you don't have space to, because why? Because in one call, this is a recursive call, no? Inside this recursive call, if one time this method is calling, it will create these many strings in one call. In the second call, how much call happened? If you see, reload this one also. See, okay, only in the first one only it is got out of scope, because before only we are printing. So this is a very huge strings, means huge memory it will acquire, for array. In that case, it will definitely go out of scope only. Okay, so out of memory only. So this is the types of main examples of exception. Now we have to handle that exception. Suppose here if okay, I will close this one. Is there any way that I can suppose if I uncomment this one, then I will get one exception. Yeah, let me comment this also, because that is pointing to that file. If you see that file, in that file it will give D, it is coming. Okay, console only, error console is nothing there now. Okay, so that is fine. So now third position is there, but what is the fourth position? This is the fourth position. It will definitely throw an error. See, error index out of bound exception. So this, now we have understood what is exception or error, but now we have to handle that one. Okay, so that is called exception. handling, that is exception handling. So before to handle that exception, we have to understand what exactly JVM is doing when you got any exception. What your JVM is doing. Suppose what JVM will do when exception occurred at any line. Suppose here at what line exception is coming, line number 80, array index out of bound exception. So what exactly JVM is doing? JVM is doing these many steps. JVM will create an throwable object. What is throwable object? Throwable is the superclass. Throwable is the superclass for error or exception. For any error or any exception, throwable is a superclass, and JVM will create an throwable object to inform the user about the problem. To inform the user about the problem. But this throwable not will be a throwable only, that will be of any subtype. It is not like that it will be JVM will create always throwable. If JVM will create always throwable, then how you are getting this array index out of bound exception? Actually it should be java.lang.throwable only, no? Throwable, why I have taken here to understand, because throwable is super type. No, if it is array index out of bound exception, that is also throwable, because array index out of bound exception is inheriting throwable only. So that's why I am saying throwable only. Okay, and the object can be of any subtype of throwable. Yes, the object can be of any subtype of throwable class that JVM is creating. It is not like that JVM is creating throwable type only, it is creating the specific type. If it is out of memory error, then JVM will create out of memory error object. If it is an index, if it is arithmetical exception, then JVM will create arithmetical exception, like that. Respective exceptions are defined already in your libraries, in Java libraries. So JVM will create accordingly. Okay, or we can say that JVM will create a respective exception or error type object with appropriate message. Where is the appropriate message? This is appropriate message, no? Index 4 out of bound for length 4. Yeah, because if you say fourth one you cannot access because length is 4 only, no? If I say 5 here, then if I run this one, you will see, yeah, index 5. Now it is taking value from 5 only, no? So message is respective only, no? Index 5 out of bound for length 4. Length is 4, then how can you access fifth index? You cannot access. So JVM is creating the object of any type, any subtype of throwable for respective error or exception, and with the appropriate message also. Okay. Note, throwable event can be thrown by developer also. Yeah, this throwable object we can also throw. Same like JVM is throwing, we also can throw on some of the basis on some conditions. We will see that one. Okay, this one. And okay, so what happened after thrown the throwable object by JVM? Suppose JVM, what JVM do? JVM has created that throwable object and JVM has thrown that one. What will happen after throwing that one? What will happen? JVM, where JVM is throwing? JVM is throwing? JVM is creating object at line number 18 only. It's creating. After creating, what JVM is doing with that object? Either JVM can throw, where JVM can throw, and if JVM cannot throw, then what should JVM do? That we have to tell here. So that is what happened after thrown the throwable object by JVM. JVM find the throwable object handler first. Suppose if you see line number 18, if you see any here one array index out of bound exception is throwing. Your JVM is throwing exception at this line number. So what JVM is doing? JVM is creating array index out of bound exception object, and JVM, after creating the array index out of bound exception, what JVM is doing, JVM is trying to find the throwable object handler. Where is throwable object handler? Not there, we have not defined it. If we have not defined it, then what JVM will do, so JVM, where is that one? JVM find the throwable object handler. Okay, if throwable object handler is found, then throwable object will be provided to throwable object handler, if it is provided. But in our case, we have not provided any throwable object handler. So here, if no throwable object handler found into the method invocation chain, then throwable object will be provided back to the JVM and will print the throwable object into default error console. That's it. Suppose here what exactly happening here, we have not provided any throwable object handler. So what JVM is doing, JVM is throwing that object to the caller of method, see here, if throwable object handler not found, see what exactly here, JVM first, after creating the throwable object, JVM is trying to find the throwable object handler. If throwable object handler found, then JVM will provide that throwable object to the handler. If throwable object handler is not found, then throwable object will be thrown to the caller of method. Caller of method is what? Whoever is calling that method. That some method we are calling into somewhere, some method we are calling in some another class. So that throwable object will be thrown back to the caller of method, in that caller of method, if a handler is there, if handler is there, then it will be provided to that handler. If there also, in that method also, throwable object handler is not there, then that will be provided to the caller of method, and at last it will reach to the main method, because main method is the starting point of application. So now you understood what exactly will be happening here. Suppose when your JVM is creating throwable object, then for that throwable object, JVM first find the throwable object handler. If handler found, then JVM will provide that throwable object to the handler. That's it. That is the job of JVM only. If not, throwable handler is not found. If throwable object handler not found, in that case JVM has to throw the throwable object handler to the caller of method, and inside the caller method, if handler is there, then JVM will provide that throwable object to that handler. But there also no handler, and if it will goes like that only, in the last one it will reach to the main method, because main method is the calling point only, and inside main method also there is no handler. In that case, that throwable object will be thrown back to the JVM. If no throwable object found into the method invocation chain, then throwable object will be provided back to JVM, and JVM will print that throwable object into error console. That is only is happening here. We have not written any error statement. No, then why it is printing? Because JVM is printing defaultly. That's it. So that is the steps when any exception or error is occurring at any line in your program. At any line, at any point, if any exception or error is occurring, then these steps your JVM is following. So now the question is, what is error and exception? because sometimes we are saying error, maybe your JVM can throw error, sometimes your JVM can throw exception also. Suppose this is an exception, this is an exception, no, array index out of bound exception. But what if I will uncomment this one and I will comment this, I will uncomment this one. In that case you will get what? You will get out of memory error. Now this is not exception, this is an error, this is an error. So there is some difference between exception and error. Exception is a error is a critical issue that you cannot resolve simply. You cannot resolve error. Suppose in your JVM there is no memory, then how can you create memory using program? You cannot create. And suppose in your program you are accessing to some hardware like printer or camera or any devices you are accessing, but suppose that device is not working, then how can you resolve that device through the program? No, you cannot resolve that, because that is a hardware issue. You have to fix the hardware, and hardware you cannot fix through the programming or through the code. So that is the example of error only, like out of memory error, hardware issue, or some network issue. Network issue means you are pinging to some server, but that server itself is not responding, is that server is down or server is not up, something like that. Then how can you start that server through the programming, because that server is existing into some another machine and you are not authorized to access that machine. So in that case, when you have to resolve manually only. Error means some hardware issue, software issue, or something, some hardware software is not available, or some resource is not working, some file is not there. In that case, on what you can do? You cannot do anything, because suppose file is not there, then it's not like that. First it will create a file and write the content and then read. It will not be like that. So that is called error. Yeah, exception is not critical, and exception you can resolve. Exception you can resolve. Suppose here in this line number 31 we are getting out of memory error. We cannot do anything here, because this is memory is out of only. No, what we can do? We have to give more memory to system before to running, then that only can do. But that should be given before only. In the next time when you are running, we are giving more memory, so that it will run. That's it. But we cannot we cannot do anything in programming. But in this way we can do inside a programming. Yeah, this one, because currently this is giving an error. No, array index out of bound exception. So here we understood, I got this exception. What we can resolve? Yeah, we can print some message, and we can next time we can access another another index. We can access that one. That we can resolve. So this is the main difference between the error and exception. Exception is exception can be like arithmetical exception, index out of index, accessing the index of array beyond the array size, something like that. And whatever error is there, that all error will be the subtype of java.lang.error. Suppose this is an exception, that is the subtype of exception only, or subtype of runnable, exception or runnable, and all the errors will be the subtype of java.lang.error, and all the exceptions will be the subtype of exception only. Will be the subtype of exception only. Exception will be the subtype of java.lang.exception, and error will be the subtype of java.lang.error. And this is the hierarchical diagram of exception class. On top we have already seen object is the super class for all the classes in Java. We have already seen that one. And throwable is the subclass for object, and all the error or exception is the subtype of throwable. That's why we are saying here JVM is creating a throwable object only, not throwable, any subtype of throwable corresponding, like class not found exception, SQL exception, IO exception, runtime arithmetical exception. Sometimes we are dividing any number by 0, then we are getting arithmetical exception. So JVM is creating this object, arithmetical exception. Null pointer exception, array negative size exception. So JVM is creating corresponding object and with appropriate message. One object is creating of a type throwable only, because that is a throwable. No, all types are throwable only. All types are throwable only. but appropriate object your JVM is creating, because throwable throwable is being inherited into error or exception. Okay, so this is the hierarchy only, and so this is the difference between error and exception, and in this way your JVM is resolving when you are, this is the default implementation, this is the default implementation of JVM. JVM is doing default behavior. If error or exception arise, then JVM is doing this default behavior. Okay, so now what, so error and exception. Now exception has a two types actually, two types exception. One is checked exception, another one is unchecked exception. What is checked exception and what is unchecked exception? Checked exception will be checked at compile time, means compiler will warn the developer at the compiling time when you are calling the method, and compiler will force the developer either to provide exception object handler or to throw the exception to the caller of method. We have already seen this one, what exactly the exception object handler and what is the caller of method. Whoever is calling that method, that is a caller of method. So in the checked exception, compiler will warn at compile time while calling the method and force the developer either to provide exception object handler or to throw the exception to the caller of method. It is forcing, you have to do one thing, either you have to handle or either you have to throw. But in unchecked exception, your compiler will not warn or will not force anything. Whatever you want to do, you can do. You can handle, you can throw. If you don't want to handle, don't handle. If you don't want to throw, don't throw. That is up to your choice only. Compiler will not warn at unchecked exception. Compiler will not warn at compile time while calling the method, and compiler will not force the developer either to provide exception object handler or to throw the exception to the caller of method. Okay. Checked exception will be the subtype of java.lang.exception, and unchecked exception will be the subtype of java.lang.runtime exception. Sorry, this is we have given wrongly. Yes. So unchecked exception will be the subtype of java.lang.runtime exception, and checked exception will be the subtype of java.lang.exception only. Suppose, see, this is exception, and if you directly extending any class and you are creating any class, that will be the checked exception, and if you are making the subclass of runtime exception, that will be unchecked exception. Okay, so this is the types of exception. And what is throwable object handler and how to provide throwable object handler, that is very important now, because we have understood what exactly JVM is doing when any exception or error occur, and what will be the default behavior, and what is the difference between exception and error, and what is the types of exception. Now our main purpose is to understand what is object handler, throwable object handler, and how to provide the handler for throwable, how we can provide and what exactly. See, the throwable object handler is nothing but a block that will handle the throwable object to prevent the abnormal termination of program. When the throwable object thrown by JVM or by developer, that JVM is throwing by default, and we also can throw, no issue. We will see that one. So throwable object handler is nothing but a block, that will be a block only. Inside the method we have to define one block only. So throwable object handler is nothing but a block that will handle the throwable object to prevent the abnormal termination of program when the throwable object is thrown by JVM or by developer. And try keyword is used to test the statement that will throw the throwable object, and try block can also be used to close the resources. That is different scenario that we will see later. Okay, and catch exception is catch block is used to handle the throwable. See here, two blocks we have to define in the throwable object handler. In throwable object handler we have to define two blocks, one is try and another one is a catch. Try block is used to test the statement. Try block is used to test the statement, whatever statement is throwing an exception, that you can test in try block. And inside catch block you can handle if exception is thrown, that you can catch in catch block, and after catching that one you can do your task. That's it. So in that way you can provide the handler, and this is the syntax for throwable object handler. Like you have to give try and you have to give catch. Inside this try you have to give the statements to test for throwable, and inside catch you have to do something that will handle that object. That's it. And you can give multiple catch also in this way. Catch multiple, one catch after one pipeline symbol, another throwable type object, another throwable type object, and reference. This is the reference. Here this is the reference of that object. You can give in this one, but in this case what exactly the condition, that throwable object 1 and throwable object 2 should not have inheritance relationship. Not even 1 or 2, any 1, 2, 3. Throwable type 1, throwable type 2, throwable type 3, and like that it will go for throwable type and so on. It can go, no issue. But that all throwable types should not have any inheritance relationship. Should not have. That should not have any inheritance relationship. If inheritance relationship is there between them, then you cannot use these multiple throwable types. You cannot give that one. And multiple catch is also possible. If you want to give multiple catch, that also you can give. Multiple catch, how can you give? This is one catch, inside this one you can catch, and inside the next one you can catch another one, like that you can catch. That can be in inheritance relationship, no issue. But what is the condition here? The second one, the last one should be the super type of first one. Then only it is possible. If you give the directly super type, no, then it will not catch this one, because you are giving the super type always. No, always you are giving super type, then it will always catch this one only. It will not catch this one. So that is not feasible. You should not give like that. You should give the last you should give the super type, and the above you should give the subtype always. So that is the recommended way only. Here in the multiple catch statement, the sub catch statement throwable must be the super type of first one, then only it is feasible. At least one catch block must be there for try block. Yes, if try block you are giving, at least one. Yeah, multiple catch you can give, no issue, but at least one should be there. If it is not there one, then it will give one exception. If try with resource means you are saying no, try block can also be used for to close the resource. If your try block you are using to close the resource, in that case you no need to give any try or catch. That's fine. But if you are not giving any resource close statement into try, then you have to give catch, or you have to give finally. If finally block is there, then catch block is not mandatory. Yeah, it is not required like that. If you can give finally or you can give catch, but at least catch or finally should be there. At least finally should be there, or catch should be there. If you are not using any try with resource close statement, if you are not giving, then either you have to give catch or you have to give finally, or you can give both, or you can give multiple catch or one finally, no issue. But finally will always will be one only. Multiple finally you cannot give. Okay, so how to throw, okay, that we will see later. So first we will see this one. Okay, next one is try catch. Yes, see, this is the try and catch block. You can see here very easily. So what we are doing here, we have created one character array and we have given here one div result is equal to C0. okay, and these two statement, actually if we see in the first one, these statement like line number 18 or line number 24, these only are giving the error or exception, no. So that statements we are putting into try block to test whether they are giving exception or not, and inside catch block we are catching that exception and we are doing our task. So in that case, definitely this program ended will be executed successfully, because we have given handler here, we have given throwable object handler here. In this main dot class, throwable object handler was not there, so that's why default exception handling technique that is given by JVM, that is followed. But now we have given our own throwable object handler, so it will be the object will be handled here only, and the remaining program of the code of program will be executed successfully, no issue. Yeah, but suppose if the line number 12 you are getting an exception, then till the line number 12 the statement will be executed fine, but line number 13 is there, that will not be executed if the line number 20 is giving the exception, because at this line exception came, so the control will directly redirected to this one, because the object will be created here only, and JVM will check whether handler is provided. Yes, handler is provided, so in that handler it will give, and so after this one it will execute this line, and after that one it will execute this line, no issue. So if I run this one, and you will see, yes, so so first program started, then divide by 0 exception came. Divide by 0, where exactly divide by 0, from where it is coming? Divide by 0 is coming from here. If I print here system, so ist system dot out dot println exe exception catch block, catch block, that's it, catch block, or give this one catch block, this is catch block, and this is catch block. Catch block started, start, started, catch block ended, and I will write here also try block started and try block ended, because so that we will understand which statement is executing, which is not executing. Okay, try, okay, so here if you see let me run again. So here if you see, try block started, yes, catch block started, because try block is not ending, because at line number 13 only exception came. So line number 30 exception came, then line number 40, 50 will not execute, because exception came at 30, line number 30. So at line number 30 your JVM is creating the object of type what? Object of type arithmetical exception, that I am catching here. So your JVM will create at line number 30. At line number 30 your JVM will create arithmetical exception type object, and JVM will find whether any any object handler, any throwable object handler is provided. Yes, throwable object handler is provided, then JVM will provide that object to throwable object handler catch block, and inside this catch block you can do whatever you want to do. So what way I am doing, I am printing catch block started, so catch block started then I am printing message, get message, what is the message? Divided by 0, and then I am printing catch block ended. After that one result will be 0 default value, because this is now this is not correct now, because if this is executed then only the divide result will something, but it is not executing successfully. In that case it will be default value only 0 and program ended. Okay, so this is, if I will give here 1 or if I will give here 2, then something, it will not give this error, no, it will not give this error. Now it will give another error, it will give the error at line number this one. Yes. See, try block started, catch block started again, because now if you see the division result is 2, because this line number 30 is executed successfully, but at line number 40 you get exception. So from line number 40 your JVM will create array index out of bound exception only, because two catch block we are giving. Inside catch block multiple exception we are catching. Yeah, we can catch, because there is no inheritance relationship between arithmetical exception and array index out of bound exception. There is no inheritance relationship, so you can catch any of them. And after catching, I am printing catch block started and catch block ended before inside, and I am printing this message also. So this is printed and the result and program ended. Okay, so in this way this execution will happen. And what if I will give here fourth, or not fourth, is second, then this statement also will be executed successfully. In that case catch block will not execute. Because why? Because in these two lines I have tested these lines. In these lines there is no exception or error. If no exception or error, then it is executing successfully, and it will not come to the catch block. It will not come to the catch block, and your remaining program will be executed successfully. That's it. And we have already discussed, we can give here multiple catch. Multiple catch. See, this is multiple catches, multiple catch block we can give, and multiple object also we can catch into a single catch block. This is a single catch block. Inside single catch block we are catching both object of a throwable, but we can give in different also, no issue. In this way, in that case I will first one I will catch array arithmetical exception, in the second one I will catch array index out of bound exception. That's it. That is also fine, no issue. Or I can give this one is the first one, or this one is the second one. That is also no issue, because there is no inheritance relationship. If inheritance relationship is there, then we have to give the last one we have to give the super type, and the first one we have to give the subtype. Suppose catch, we already seen exception is the subtype of this both. Exception this is the subtype. Exception is the subtype of these two. In that case we cannot give this exception at first one. Yes, if I am giving at first one, then remaining is giving error. What exactly error is? You are getting unreachable catch block, because whatever exception your JVM is throwing, all will be caught here only. Then there is no use of this one. So that's why the last one will be the must be the super type, and the above can be the subtype, no issue. Okay. Another one is this is all about how we can define try, how we can define catch, and multiple catches also is possible. Another thing we are talking about finally. Yeah, finally also is there actually. Finally we can give here, like finally. What exactly the use of this finally? Actually finally here, if you see, the finally block is added after the try, after the catch block, to execute the statement. If we want to execute some import statement after try or catch, suppose inside a try or catch some important statements are there that we have to execute at any cost. Suppose, so then how we can execute that one? Suppose here try block ended, or if I say here I will write some statement like hello world, hello. So do you think this will be executed if I will give here 0? It will not be executed. It will not be executed, because this hello will not be executed, but I want to execute this one. So what I can do, I can put this into catch block. Currently I am just replacing with this exception. Okay, we have understood this to more clearly. That's it. Okay, Yeah, so suppose what if I want to execute this hello. Currently this will not execute, this hello will not be print here, it's not printing hello, divide by 0 catch and block 100. So what I can do, I can put this here, I can put into catch block. No, now it is printing hello, now it is printing hello. But what if I will give here 2, in that case again hello will not be printed. Yes, because now it is not coming into catch block, but we have to definitely execute this one. In that case you can put in final, that's it. Whether exception is there, whether exception is not there. Now currently no exception, then also it is executing, hello is printing, and now exception is there, then also it will be printing as hello only, because what exactly, suppose I will give here exit. What exactly the use of this finally? No, system dot return. Okay, I will give return, that's it. What exactly will happen here? I have given return statement, no, it is 2 here, and I will have also given return statement here. In that case what will happen, and these statements I am not giving here, just close these 2 statements. Okay, and here also I am giving return statement. See, now whether that exception is there or whether the exception is not there, it will return, definitely it will return. But still I want to execute something, then I can use the finally. See, whether you are executing or whether you are not executing, whether the exception is there or not there, whether the try is executing, whether the cache is executing, but this will execute definitely because you have given return statement here, no issue. So there is some case, this is a one case, if the return statement is present into try or catch, in that case there is a chances you may miss some statements. With another exception, suppose inside this one, if inside this try again some exception came, and that exception, for that exception you are not giving any handler, so what you will do, in that case it will return to the caller of method and this statement will not be executed. So for this purpose finally is there, for these purpose. When the throwable type is not present, suppose sometime throwable is not there, we are giving here super type. No, I will not give here whatever the type is throwing here, I am not specifying here. In that case again it will be go to the caller of method and it will reach to the JVM again, and JVM will do the default behavior. So again this statement will not be executed. No, if I put directly here, so in that case finally will be used, okay. So this is the what is the how to throw an object. Okay, so that we have already we have learnt what is throwable object handler and how to provide throwable object handler. We can provide throwable object handler in this way, okay. And suppose if we are not providing throwable object handler, how to throw the object? Suppose, why this is important, because sometime what we have to do, we have to define our custom exception also. In that case we have to throw that exception. Then what we will do, how we will first thing, how we can define, how to define a custom throwable. Suppose I will define here custom throwable. Suppose new my exception, my exception, and that exception I want to make as checked exception. Then I can directly make the subclass of exception, no issue. And I have given here one constructor serializable that you can give, no issue. That is the field that I intended to give, okay. And public string message, and the same message I am calling to this super. That's it. Okay, so this is my exception. Now this I defined this exception. We can define in this way. How we can define this exception? The custom throwable can be defined by inheriting the corresponding superclass. suppose I want to define custom error, then I can make the subclass of error directly, no issue. And if I want to define exception, then I can make the subclass of exception. And if I want to make the runtime exception, then I can create the subclass of runtime exception, because the exception are two types: checked exceptions are the subtype of exception only, unchecked exception is the type of runtime exception only. Okay, so this is, we have created an exception, and I will create one main class, my exception exception main. Okay, and here I will create one main method, So what we will do here, we will suppose what we want to do, I want to throw, suppose here public static void get object, something like that, get object. I am just giving simply for to understanding purpose, I am just giving this object, and this object while calling this object, suppose get object, and the return type is object only, object only. Okay, so in that case, and here I am giving here some number int x. Okay, and if x greater than 0, then I am doing something else. Okay, so if it is greater than 0, then I will return person person is equals to dot new person. Okay, I will give name ABCD, age or something, some value. Okay, anything, byte. Okay, yeah, and we can return directly, no issue, this is not required here. Return, and I will give here 0 and student okay, object, that's it, give object, and I will just print system.out.println, or you not give object, give student, give student, and just return type is get person, person, you can give person. Okay, and return type is person only, we are returning person only. Okay, person, and this person we are printing here, that's it. What happened? Undefined get person. Okay, get person, and okay, this is person P, not P, this one only. Okay, suppose, and here this is my exception, I will give a person not found exception, my exception I will replace with the person exception, person, person not this one, person exception, my exception, yes, I will give this to person exception. So if I will say here, if I am giving any x greater than 0, then I am saying person is 0, otherwise person not found I have to give. So what I can do, So what I can do, suppose here how to define the custom exception that we have already seen. Either we can define error by extending the error class, or if we want to define checked exception, then we can create by inheriting java.lang.exception class, and if it is an unchecked exception, that we can create using so that we can create using runtime exception. Unchecked exception, if we want to create, that we can use by making the subclass of java.lang.runtime exception. If we want to create a checked exception, then we can create by making the subclass of java.lang.exception only. So that we have did here. Currently what we have did here, my exception, a person exception. So person exception is the subtype of if you see the person exception, that is a subtype of exception only. So it is a checked exception. This is a checked exception. And if I will make here a runtime exception, that is also fine, no issue. You can make a runtime exception, no issue. So this, in this way we can create we can define our custom throwable exception. And how to throw the throwable object? Suppose we have created, then definitely if we have to create it, then if we have created, then we only have to throw that one. Then how we can throw that one? Because whatever the exceptions like array index, out of bound exception, that JVM is creating, and JVM can throw that one, no issue. But if we have created our own exception, then we have to throw that one. How we can throw that one? So that we can throw using throw keyword. Suppose throw new throwable type with message, like that. Suppose the throwable keyword is used to throw the throwable object. So what we will do here, if it is a greater than 0, then we are returning this person. Otherwise we are throwing what we are throwing, person exception with message, person not found with negative value, that's it. Person not found with a negative value, simple. So I am giving here more than 0 first, 1 I am giving here, I am giving 1. So it is giving person name is ABCD, age is 57, height is 52, like that. 50 age is 26, 52 or 70, 78, something you can give, no issue. Now run this one. If you run this one, you will see it's a printing, it's returning, because the get person is returning. What if I will give here 0? It should be greater than 0, greater than or equals to 0 also. You can give, it is up to your choice, no issue. Okay, greater than equal to 0, then also it will come. Yes, but what if I will give here -7 or something? In that case you will see one magical thing. Yes. Now it is exception. You see, person not found with the negative value. That where is this message? That message is coming from this one only, because before JVM was throwing at this line number 9, at some line JVM was throwing exception. Now we are throwing exception, we are throwing our custom exception. In that case we can use this throw keyword to throw the exception, Yes, so in this way we can throw the exception. And if it is a checked exception, suppose this is throw, and I will give exception directly here, then in that case you will get definitely exception, because If it is a checked exception, suppose if the checked exception is thrown, that throwable has to be defined at method level using throws keyword, yes. So method level you have to define throws. What you want to throws? I want to throws person exception. That's it. Now it is fine. Sorry, throws. I think okay, sorry, that is keyword we have given wrongly here. I think thr is missing. Okay, no issue. So this is a throws. Now it is a throwing. Yes, fine. And if it is an runtime exception, runtime runtime exception, then that is also fine, because throws you can give for both. You can give for checked exception or unchecked exception, but if it is a checked exception, then you have to give, definitely you have to give here throwable at a method level. That then only it is possible. And multiple also you can give, no issue. Multiple, suppose throwable and array index, array sorry, I think you have to give comma here, array array index out of bound exception you can give, no issue. Multiple also you can give, that is up to your choice. You can give multiple, no issue. But currently this exception is never throwing in this one, so we no need to give. And for checked exception, you definitely have to give. If you are throwing any checked exception, then definitely you have to give here. And if you are giving here any checked exception, suppose now this is not checked exception, or person exception is not checked exception, now this is a checked exception. So if it is a checked exception, then you are giving here this method will throw checked exception, but the checked exception you are not throwing into this one, in this method. This method must return a result of type this one, that is it returning, or else it should throw. It is not throwing, it should throw. Yes, it is throwing. Now this is the use of checked exception, because this is a checked exception. Now it is a checked exception. So if it is a checked exception, then compiler will forcing you to handle or throw. Compiler is forcing you either to handle this exception or either to throw this exception to the caller of method. Where exactly the caller of method? The caller of method is this one, main only. So in the main only, and who will call this main? JVM will call. So the now exception will go to the JVM only. That's it. So this is the use of exception handling and exception handling exception handler and exception handling object. Okay, that one. Okay, and anything that we missed? Yeah, that also we have seen. Okay, and one more thing, checked exception, checked error exception. Okay, and so here we have seen how to throw. We can throw using throw keyword, and if it is checked exception, then we have to give at the method level throws, and this is the signature. Like throwable can be many, no issue. And checked exception can also be defined at method level, that also we can define, no issue. And how to define the custom throwable, that also we have seen. And suppose what exactly the methods are there in throwable class. Suppose here if you see in object we have already seen how many methods are there, but in throwable how many methods are there? Exception and error, that we have to see. So we can see that one, no issue. In the exception, first we will go from the throwable. In the throwable, so many methods are there. Some of the private fields are there, throwable is there, public, but main methods that what we are using here, that is the get message. Is get message, it will be okay, yeah, get message only, because the get message will return whatever the message we are specifying or JVM will specifying. And in the same way, exception class is the subclass of throwable only. Inside this one, this is the main constructor. One constructor is with one string type reference variable that is taking message only, another message and another throwable also, only, so many. That's it, only this much, that's it. And inside error, if you go, now it will become considered as error, that's it. Now if it is you go inside error, then error with message and throwable, that is similar only. Okay, so these are the main constructor of throwable or error or exception. Okay, so this one is for this session only. Exception, checked exception, try and finally. Okay, so in the next session we will see process, executor service, executors, thread pool executor and scheduled thread pool executor, because we have missed that one. Not missed, actually we told that one we will learn that classes in some other session, so that we will see. Like we already have in the last session in multi-threading, we have seen only a thread and runnable, but executor service, thread pool executor and scheduled thread pool executor, that we have not learned actually. So we will learn in the next session. In the next session we will learn these only. Process is another class inside lang package only, and that also we will learn executor. Okay, so that's for in this session. So I hope you like this session. Please subscribe my channel and we will see you in the next session. Till that, bye bye and thanks for watching.